Welcome back. It's bourbon burner night. That means we're going to cook something tasty, and today it's going to be center cut pork chops, the other white meat. The reason I don't use bones, you can use bones, but with sous vide, I don't like I don't want to puncture the bag, you know. So these are going to be boneless center cut pork chops, about an inch thick. So let's get to it. Hey, we're here today to talk about one of my favorite standbys, pork chops. These are really thick, about an inch thick cut, center cut pork chops. I know when I talk to people, I get mixed reviews on who likes pork chops and who doesn't. The problem is you have to bring pork chops up to temp because they're pork, same as chicken, but people tend to overcook them and they tend to dry out. So with that, we're going to do a sous vide method today, the same as we did with the steaks. So let's get to it. Now, another caveat is I don't have a control, okay? I do not have a control today because there's just no way to do this without just putting honey on a pork chop. So I'm going to pour a little bourbon in, and these are not exact measurements. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bourbon in there. Probably a couple, maybe a tablespoon, and I'm just going to have it with honey. Whoops, got to take the paper off here from the factory. All right, and I'm just going to put some honey in here. About as much as I put bourbon. All right. Whoa, shoot. There we go. That'll do it. Now, just guesstimating, okay? There's no exact science going on in this kitchen right now. Now, what I'm going to do is just stir it in and kind of get this. No heat applied. I'm just stirring it in so that the bourbon and honey become one. Now, I am going to season the pork chops up. Now, the control I'm going to do is just seasoned without the bourbon and honey, all right? And I may even add a little dry mustard to the one that does not have this glaze. Again, we're not going to overdo it like the way we did with the steaks, where I took the turkey dropper and I just dropped a little bourbon in there on it. We're not going to use all of this. Now, this is pretty mixed in, so we have a really good bourbon honey mixture. I'm going to taste it. Oh my gosh, that's good. Woo! Okay. Now, with the pork chops, all I'm going to do here is just salt and pepper them, both sides. Salt, and these are pretty thick, so we can go ahead and put it on there. Okay. Garlic powder. On both. All right. And pepper. And just like we did with the steaks, when I did those, I'm going to kind of mash this in just a little bit. Like this, so that it kind of adheres, and when I flip them, it won't fall all off. So, these have been sitting out for just a little bit. Do that so they'll come up to temp just a little bit, get a little moist. Makes the seasoning stick a lot better. Give me a fork here. We're going to flip these things. Well, you know what? I'm going to flip this one over. Before I do, I think I am going to add on the we'll call it the control, a little dry mustard. All right, not a lot, just some, and we'll just kind of pat that in with the fork, because you can do it that way too. Now we're going to flip this one. I just made sure I didn't get any dry mustard on the other one. That's all. Now let's go salt. Again, the order of operation doesn't matter here. But I like putting the salt on first because it kind of starts to dissolve, and you know, I want that on there. And then this is powdery. Get this on. Good dusting on there. Again, these are really thick, so don't be shy with your seasonings. Okay. Now, well, with the pepper, I'm going to do my hand again. And then we'll do the dry mustard right over here. Okay. There we go. Put that back. All right, there. Now then, we turn that around so we can see what it is. We are done with these. Now, I already prepared the bags. I sealed the ends on these, so they're ready for the pork chops to go in. Again, I like putting them in. There's a rough side and a smooth side. I like turning it to the smooth side when I put these in so that it will slide along the smooth bag and won't rake off all of my seasonings. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this down. Now, another thing too is I make these bags, it looks like they're a little long, but if you'll notice on, like if you watch the steak video, I have to also clip this to the top of the sous vide bucket. So I like leaving myself a little room. Now with this one, simple. That's it. We're going to seal this sucker off. All right, there's that one. That'll be our control. Just a regular old pork chop with dry seasonings. Now, let's put our bourbon one in. Slide it down. There we go. Now then. Now, what I'm going to do here is just take the spoon with the bourbon honey mixture that's all in there. I'm going to take about a spoonful, and I'm going to just drizzle it over the top of that. And then we will flip it. Take another spoonful honey bourbon and drizzle it on that side. Now again, this doesn't have to be perfectly evenly coated. It's going to suck down there. It's going to push those flavors in. All right, and there we have it. We have the bourbon one. Now I'm going to get my marker, so I'll do that now. All right, and we're going to mark this one with a B for bourbon. So now we'll know, because it's very subtle. I mean, I can see it in there spreading around, being pushed into that meat, but it could be hard to tell once it cooks. Now that we have this, I'm going to swap over and get ready with my sous vide. All right, I have my sous vide ready. Now we need to change the temperature on this thing. Temp is going to be, this is pork, so it needs to be 145, but we are going to go 140 on here, and then I'm going to just do a quick simple reverse sear on it. We are also going to go 3 hours because these are pretty thick, so I'm going to put my temp at 140, my time at 3 hours. This is going to have to come up to temp. While that's happening, I'm just going to leave these sitting right out here. They're still a very cool temperature, but that'll bring them more closer up to room temp before this thing gets ready. So I'll meet you back here when this thing gets up to temp. All right, we're getting close here. We're at 131, almost 132. It'll pre-beep here shortly when I need to put these in again. It's nice to have your little chip clips so that when you put the bags in, you can clip them and they don't float up and they stay in place and allow the water to circulate around. It's sort of like convection cooking with air, but it's with water. So you want a good flow of water around in there. I'm really excited about this one. I love honey and bourbon together. I think this is going to be great. I've made this control here with just no bourbon and honey, which is going to be good. I mean, it's salt, pepper, garlic powder, and dry mustard. And I can tell you, dry mustard and pork, bang, right on. Again, if you don't know about the sous vide, I had a sous vide video. You can go back and watch the one about the steaks, and learn about the bucket, the immersion circulator, and everything that you need, in the neoprene sleeve. I have links to all of those things in that other video. Now, once these go in, I'm gonna leave them for 3 hours. I'm gonna do a very simple reverse sear on them. I'm just gonna do a little olive oil and butter. That's it. So once I put these in and they start cooking, the next shot's going to be back in the studio, and we're going to be trying them, because again, there's no reason to show you me doing a simple sear on these pork chops. It's just going to be real quick. So again, straight from the sous vide stuff, look, it's kind of gray, but it's totally edible right out of the sous vide, if you can get past the appearance of it. But I like to put a little sear, and that's why I'm going at 140 instead of 145, because one, they're going to continue to keep warming, but once I cut them out of the bag and put them in the pan to sear them, it's going to bring the temp up just a little. So they will be a perfect temperature for pork chops. They'll be incredibly juicy. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put them in now instead of waiting on the exact moment that they're going to beep. It doesn't matter. You can put them in now. It's just a thing that says, hey, if you haven't done so already, now it's time to put them in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one seated in here. Fold the bag over just a little, put the clip on it. Let's get this one in there. They're kind of floating in here just a little bit, but the bag, that's again why I kind of put a little extra bag, when I seal them off, so I can leave myself room to clip them. Now they are totally immobile, in that water. It's circulating all around. So after the 3 hours on the cooking, I'll meet you back in the studio. Wow, these smell amazing. Let me tell you, both of them do. Again, if you need to, you can scroll around. Move your screen, tilt your phone, whatever you need to do. But on the left here, the yellow plate, no bourbon. The redder looking plate here is the bourbon one. I'll got a pattern going here. I did this with the chicken. So I'm gonna try the control first. That's the non-bourbon. The only thing different in the seasoning on the control was I put a little dry mustard in there with it, and on the bourbon, honey bourbon one, I did not. So let's see what we have here. And, oh, that cuts so easy. Oh yeah, perfect. Oh, mm. That is so easy to eat. Now, the control one is fantastic. I'll tell you that right now. Regular old pork chop. Now, let's try the bourbon one and see if we did good or bad. Perfect. I gotta do this. So yummy. Okay, now there's this little darker part, and you can see it's the same. It's got this piece and this piece. I'm gonna try off this end. There's a little darker meat part there. Let's see what we have. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that end little piece there is so tender. Wow, look at that. All right, here's the verdict on this. Bourbon makes things taste better. Okay, it just does. So what I did here, it's the same sort of concept as a steak, but I mixed honey in with it because this is pork, right? It's the other white meat. So honey, ham, you know, things like that. So I put a little honey in there with the bourbon, kept it very simple. I didn't go a whole big Asian, you know, twist or anything like that. Just bourbon, honey, season the chop before you do it. It gives it this, I don't know, it's a darker flavor. It's hard to explain what it does to meat like steak and pork, but it just adds this level of depth to the flavor of the meat. So absolutely, I recommend this 100%. If you don't have a sous vide, you know, the immersion circulator and bucket or whatever, go watch the sous vide video. I have links in there for all that stuff. Guys, you've got to get a sous vide. This is the best way, hands down, to get meat to the perfect doneness every single time. It's juicy, it's tender, it melts in your mouth. It's the way to go. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. So please like and subscribe, hit the bell down there for notifications, and I promise I'll keep bringing you these videos.